Hello everybody, welcome back to another video here on my channel, and in today's video I want to do a hopefully small reading vlog just mainly over the course of this next week, and I will be trying to read as much as I can while also finishing up our house. If you did not know, we moved. I don't think I actually updated, so I don't think anybody really knew, but we did find a house. We did move in. I think last week. We spent all last week basically unpacking, and I mean, I do have bookcases. I do have books on my bookcases, so that's pretty much all I'm going to be doing is trying to read within this next maybe 7 days, but at least 5 days, reading at least one book, hopefully 2. I want to try and be finished and done unpacking by the end of this week. That is my goal. We just did the garage, so I feel like it's more attainable. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into this video. All right, real quick, I want to tell you the book that I just finished. It's a book that I picked up maybe 1 to 2 years ago. I feel like maybe about 2 years ago now at a Goodwill for like $149. And it's a book that I never heard any bad reviews about until I picked it up, and then randomly I heard some bad reviews about it. And this book threw me for a loop when I first jumped into it. It is The Road by Cormac McCarthy, and this book in particular, what threw me at least for a loop, I guess I should say, is that when I jumped in, I was expecting to try and find the next chapter so that I could end. And so I flipped through to like 20 pages and I was like, okay, we're not there yet. Let's keep flipping. Then I got to 40 pages. I was like, okay, we're getting a little long for one chapter. I went all the way to 60 to 80 pages and I was like, wait a minute, this book doesn't have chapters. This entire 287 page book has 0 chapters, but it does have like massive spacing. He doesn't use quotations or like apostrophes when he says like don't, can't, things like that. So I found that not necessarily hard, but it was really annoying to jump into it, and then after a while it is something that my brain kind of just accepted. There were some parts even towards the end when they meet up with other people, let's just say, that I'm like, who's talking? I'm so confused because of the quotations. But otherwise, those are my only 2 cons for this, and this book was something else. I'm just gonna say, if you read this book prior to being a parent, I think you would get such a different feeling. But after reading this after you have kids, and especially for somebody like me who has a son, and this is about a father and a son, and mainly his father, or the father, is trying to keep the son alive, and they're traveling on this road. It's basically like an apocalypse, or after that. For the most part, they're just trying to survive, trying to follow this road, trying to get to no necessarily location, just the end of this road. We don't really know what caused it. We don't know where they're actually heading, and there's a lot of like mystery, kind of like almost you have to make it all up in your head as you go, as you read, and then come to your own conclusions. It's one of those. But basically, we just have this father who is trying to protect the son. And let me just tell you, after being a parent and reading this book, and especially having a son, even though he's not even as old as his son, he probably has like 5 or more years left before he hits this age. It's just one of those that it does hit you a little bit different, and it just makes you rethink about things and think about also how it would be if this was like a real world and this happened. Because I know for sure, especially since we just moved to a new state, I'd be going back to my other state because I know how to live off the grid out there, and I know places that I could live off the grid, plenty of places that I could live off the grid. This wouldn't be as big of a problem versus where I'm at now. If anything went down, I'm like, I have no clue how to get around. I don't know the animals out here, but also there was like no animals in this book. But this book was so good to me. I did rate this 5 stars, and even though I started it and I was really invested, started reading it, and then we took basically about a week, or I think like 4 days, I didn't read this actually, and then I hopped back into it, finally finished it within a couple days after that. And it was like, I could have sat, if I would have had the time, I probably could have sat and finished this in 1 day, if not maybe in 2 days max. So I'm coming off of a 5-star read, and I'm going to hop into, it's technically the next book that was on my monthly TBR, but also a book that I have been kind of eyeing off and on, and I feel like it's the summertime. It might be good to read this now, and it is Emily Henry's Funny Story. I'm gonna hop into this, see how far I get. I do have some stuff that I want to do, like I said, unpack today, because for the next 5 days I really want to unpack, and maybe we can see if there's an audiobook and I can throw this on while working later. But for right now, I think I'm just gonna sit and read a little bit. But I have heard amazing things about this book. I know that A Great Big Beautiful Life is the next book after this, so I'm curious about that book as well, because I think this one is a little bit different. You have this main character, and she is about to marry this guy, and he ends up moving her to his hometown or home area, and then while they're there, he rekindles a relationship basically, or sees his longtime best friend, childhood best friend, and then they end up, I guess, falling in love. She ends up having to go find a new place to stay, and actually that girl's ex-boyfriend now and her move in together so that they're roommates, because they both just got dumped by the same people basically. So now they're living together, and I'm sure that's our whole situation there. It's gonna start from being complete strangers, having this weird thing that happened to them, that happened to both of them, and then by the end of the book they're going to be a couple and stronger than the ones that they thought they were gonna marry. I'm gonna sit and read, and then I will update you guys a little bit later. get to page 94, 95. I've been really kicking butt, I feel like, in this house because this morning I mentioned that I really wanted to be done closer to the end of the week so that I could also sit and edit some videos because I'm slacking. And then also I want to just sit and read and get back into just relaxing and not just always doing something all day, every single day, from the minute I wake up to the minute I go to bed, besides maybe if I sit down to eat, and half the time I'm not even eating lunch. So it's one of those that I feel like I'm so busy. And today I feel like I really kicked butt. I have a full kitchen. We're about 95, I feel like, percent unpacked, which is really good. All the trash, recycle, everything like that I did ship out into the garage to make more room in here, which does kind of suck, but we have a double car garage, so one bay is full. I feel like we've been doing really good, but it's been a while since I got to read, so I want to sit and read. And so far I feel like going into this book, there is one thing that I don't really like, and I know it's me probably being a little bit judgmental, but I really don't care. I do not like even a smidge if our main character does a certain, I don't want to just say like drug, but you know, the Mary Jane, I guess I could say. I get such a bad image of him, and I know people are gonna really take offense to that and they're not gonna like how I say that, but I really just get a bad image of him when I find out that like he's like this person who at least smokes a little bit. And I don't really care if it's one of those that's like he's trying to help himself from getting over this breakup, or like because his girlfriend dumped him. And I do think that Emily Henry wrote it similar to that and similar to some other things, because you have our main character and her ex-fiance, technically. It's one of those that he always spoke so badly of, always made him seem like such a really bad guy, and he's not necessarily a bad guy. And I think it's one of those that Emily Henry wrote him to basically be like, oh, coming from word of mouth, this is a bad guy, but once you get to know him, he might do some bad things, let's just say, but he's not really a bad guy, which I totally agree with. And I do like that. I just don't like exactly what he does or what he did, or like some things that he does, I guess, because not everything is bad. I don't want to spoil it because I feel like me stumbling across reading it, his main job, I really actually like the job that he's been there for 7-9 years, whichever, I thought was very interesting. And I really like that setup and that scenery because of our main character taking her friend somewhere. I feel like I don't really have anything bad to complain about. Like that was my only bad thing, I guess. I'm just kind of excited to hop in, just read a little bit more. I feel like this has also been very easy to read. I've been flying through it just a little bit, but I definitely want to see how far I can get. It is, however, about 10:30, so I don't know how much more I'm gonna read, but I do want to sit here, at least be past 100, if not, I want to say like 120. I feel like that's a good spot to stop at least for tonight. If not, if I can read past that, that would be great. I'm gonna get under a blanket and I'm gonna sit and read and try not to fall asleep in this chair. I'm not gonna lie, I only hate this chair for one reason and one reason only. When I'm in it, I'm so insanely comfortable that I always want to fall asleep. I'm gonna pause, I'm gonna go do the laundry, and I also want to kind of pack my husband's lunch for a little bit tomorrow, just like the stuff that can sit overnight in the lunchbox. But I got to 106, 107 before I started almost falling asleep. My eye, this eye in specific, has been crying, so I think it's time I change locations, try and get up, and also just try not to fall asleep. Hello everybody, it is the next night, and I'm not gonna lie, I've had a very exciting day. One day you guys will have a video posted that will kind of explain some things, but for right now, I'm not really gonna talk about it. But I don't remember what I read to last night. I think it was just over, I don't know, it wasn't much. But I'm on page 118, 119 now, so I'm gonna go sit down and read. I think I read maybe like 5 pages. I couldn't read today. It is about 8:30 at night too, so it is a little bit late, or getting a little late. Hey, hi, I just got to page 138, and they have been watching movies because apparently they both weren't really able to watch action movies with each other's significant other, I guess I could say, like with the people that they were dating. There, that's better. I'm not necessarily one to judge, but there's some things that I feel like they're doing that I'm like, whoa, this is going a little, not necessarily fast and far, but also at the same time like fast and far. But then when I think that, I'm also like, but they're both single, so I guess it's better than being both in relationships with different people. It's just something that I wouldn't expect two people to necessarily do unless if they were together. You know, maybe that's just my morals, you know, because like you shouldn't be doing some of this stuff. Like even just like, I don't know, some people say a kiss is a kiss, but like you probably shouldn't be just like kissing people multiple times, not just necessarily once, but more so multiple times if you're not dating them. That's my personal opinion and my morals, but I just feel like we're jumping head first into this. Not even feet first, just head first and fast, like diving into it. Yesterday I did not update on Funny Story, and I guess I'll pull up Fable to see what I started today off with, because in all honesty, I don't really remember. I know I've been trying to to finish this book. I think tonight I really want to finish this book. I started on page 210 apparently this morning, and I haven't gotten I guess I have gotten a little bit farther. I'm on 282 right now, about to be on chapter 27. Really close to the end in a way, like I have 100 pages left. With Funny Story, my update so far is I'm actually enjoying the characters. I just got to a certain part that a family member for a male character was already, let's just say, in the picture, and now we have for the female character another, I guess, family member, maybe two. So we have a lot going on, and I'm a little bit mixed emotions about everything, because there's a part where I'm like, oh, this is kind of nice because it's kind of like fixing a relationship in a way for the end of the book, but at the same time I'm like, I don't know if I trust it. But with this being Emily Henry, I really understand why she kind of put all this in, and being 282 pages into this, yes, there is like hinting at a relationship between these two characters, almost like a slow burn, but at the same time there's not anything going on. And I feel like definitely within the next 25 pages I feel like we'll get more solidified. No, I'd say more 50 pages, and then within 100 for sure by the end of it, no matter what. And if this book doesn't end like that, I'll be very, very surprised. So far I'm enjoying it. I don't like it. I think I almost like it as much as Happy Place, I do believe, the pink one, but I don't think I enjoy it as much as People We Meet on Vacation. I'm thinking maybe 3.5, 4 stars, at least for right now. But like I said tonight, my goal is to finish this book. I couldn't get on Libby. I couldn't get an audiobook. I think I'm number like 58 in line. I couldn't get this on audiobook, and apparently there is none on YouTube. I think it's on Spotify, but I don't pay for anything extra, so I don't have that. But I was just gonna sit here. I was gonna make some skyline, and because I never did the other day, I was gonna make some Butterfinger grape salad for like dessert. And I was also just going to watch some YouTube. So I will get back to you guys when I sit down for the night to read. I just got done with everything. I just took a shower a while ago, actually got in my PJs, and now I am sitting down in our living room to actually read my book. So I haven't really read, I don't think, anything hardly since I made supper, because once my husband came home, we ate supper. I just ate some of the grape salad. So good. We ate supper, we watched a movie, and we went outside to kind of work on the wagon a little bit, and then we came back inside, took showers, and now we're here. So I'm gonna actually sit and read. I'm still on page 284, so I don't know what I was before. I read only about 1 page. Well, maybe 2 pages, I guess, technically. Is this the third act conflict? Are they not even together and we have just gotten to that point? Because why did she snap at him like that? I'm not really okay with the attitude. It was kind of, I'm gonna say unjustified, because even though there was something that happened in the circumstances with her, there was really no need for that kind of attitude. Why did you act like that? And trust me, I'm really good at like hiding things. I'm really good at bottling things up and not really letting my emotions show. And I don't do that. Why did you act like that? Yes, she better apologize. I'm going to relocate to my bedroom because I'm starting to get very exhausted, and I think I'm only on like 320 pages. So I still have 60 more pages. I don't know if I'm going to get to finish this tonight. I might have to finish it in the morning. Okay, but like, what is exactly going on right now in this book? Because everybody has an issue, everybody's backtracking, everybody has like bad things that's going on. This is just the moment where I want to keep reading, but at the same time, I feel like everybody is just not being a good character that I don't want to keep reading. Yet again, late at night, or later at night, I did happen to finish Funny Story, not last night, but actually this morning before we got up, before we left, and did some things outside. And I'm going to settle on 3.5 stars. I know this was giving me more 3 to maybe possibly 4 stars, but I just feel like, especially since I've read 4 other books from Emily Henry, I feel like this was more of like an average star rating. I'm not sure if I liked Beach Read more than this, or if this sits above Beach Read, because I have Book Lovers and Beach Read as my 2 lowest books. So I don't know in the tier ranking where this might go just right now, but I felt like the characters had like a good plot, or like the book had a good plot, and the characters had a, not necessarily more unique, but just something I personally have never read about these 2 people who were dating somebody who then the people that they were dating ended up getting together, and then the 2 people that got broken up, basically they started dating, or not really dating, but then they became friends, and there was just this whole situationship, I guess, there. And I kind of like that because that was a little bit unique to me and what I've read before. But I also wasn't like heavily invested in this book. I just felt like some things were kind of interesting, but for the most part I was just reading
reading this book just to read it, and I am glad that I read it. I am glad that I get to have another one of her books on my shelf. And it wasn't a bad book, I'm not saying that. And it was more on like the, not necessarily emotional, because I feel like when I hear people talk emotional, I'm think of like people are just crying, but it has more thinking type fiction style, less of like a romance in a way, and it just makes you think more about like each character with their past, with their relationship, with their own family connections, and some things that they potentially struggle with. So with that being said, I am just going to rate this 3.5 stars, to each their own type deal. But now that we finished Funny Story, I want to tell you the next book that I am actually picking up, which is called Breaking the Code. This is a book that I've had for so many years, and I finally put it on my 26 and 26 because I was like, I'm tired of seeing this. I never get rid of it. I always keep it, and I just never also read it, even though it's been over a decade probably that I've had this book. And so I finally picked it up. It's only 316 pages. I have not read a single page of this book just yet. So I'm going to hopefully hop into it actually right now after I do a couple things around the house. And then after that, I hope to maybe get at least, I'd say a couple chapters in, and maybe like 20 to 50 pages into this book. It does have like some pages and some pictures for each chapter, and a couple of them are more spaced out. There is some blank pages like this one there. I was like, okay, every single one I'm not really finding, but there is some pages that are blank and some more spacing. So I think in theory, if this isn't a really, not necessarily a hard book to read, but you know how like nonfiction books are, or just memoirs, and this is a memoir, it's more slower paced. This shouldn't take me too incredibly long if we're not too busy. But I just wanted to hop on here and tell you that I did finish Funny Story, and also that this is the next book that we're hopping into. I read the preface, and there was like an author's note about why she kept some of the words the way, like she was trying to keep it authentic to the actual letters from her father. So there were some spelling that might not be correct, but there were some things they had to change, like instead of a hyphen, they had to add in commas and periods, which is fine. But this is basically a story so far about her dad, who was in the Navy, and he was stationed, I think it said after Pearl Harbor. He was in the Navy and stationed at Pearl Harbor a few years after it was bombed in 1941. And there is a part later on, because he's not a person who like tells a lot of stories about the war and some things that he went through, but there are times, and sometimes some things will spark memories in his head, and she said that he never wavered when he would talk about them. And then this paragraph right here really is so realistic, so true to how, one, I was raised, and then two, just how I am today with like anybody. It doesn't matter if it's like a grandparent, a parent, or even like my husband telling stories. It says, my sister and I, all born years after the war, must have had some innate sense that these stories were important, even sacred. Following my mother's lead, we stopped whatever we were doing to listen to them. We didn't interrupt or ask questions, and we never informed him that we had heard this one before. And that is something that I feel like sometimes people forget. You don't always have to tell somebody that you've already heard the story. Sometimes just hearing it again and just being respectful is more, or says more about you and your character, than potentially informing somebody like, hey, I've already heard the story before, you're good, you don't have to say it. And also when it comes to these types of stories, because it's so different, especially back then, but even still now today, you don't know if you weren't in the military, or you don't have somebody very close to you in the military, you do not know what people go through when they deploy, or in like this case, especially with a war, nobody truly knows besides like maybe close relatives, but mainly the person who went through it. Sometimes just shutting up and listening to what they have to say and getting things off their chest is like a good way for them to kind of cope with some terrible things that they saw. But I like that paragraph because it's very realistic and like very true so far to what I've been raised and also what I do from time to time. And here's another spot. She's talking about how the stories that he told, the actual full stories, they were like condensed versions, and she said, but more than anything, he told the version that didn't hurt and didn't require answering questions. The rest of the story, the whole and the true story, would have remained untold. But one day, many years later, in a single moment, everything I thought I knew about my father's war was turned inside out, and we didn't know it then, but it was the first step on a long journey that we take together. That's usually how it is, I feel like, too, because talking to civilians or just telling civilians, they only want like the good, like this happy fairy tale type life. They don't want the bad side, because because one, everybody has their own opinions, and also some people are very opinionated, but two, it's like they don't understand what exactly you might go through, or as they hear these things, they can just judge instead of getting to know, let's just say, or fully understanding the whole reasoning. And also, you don't always want to tell these stories. I don't want to say like dramatic in like a bad way, but like dramatic, like gruesome, and just real life, especially war. Most people don't like that. I'm not really positive if it's more so the military side why I'm really loving this book, but I feel like with all the spacing, with all the letters, and also just kind of how she's written this book so far, I feel like this book I'm kind of flying through. I'm already to basically page 32, 33, so I'm not too far into it, but a lot farther than I thought I would be, especially for it being a memoir. I'm really liking it. I'm so glad I put it off for like a decade to finally read it so far. It is another day. I have no clue the last day that I updated. I think it might have been about 2 days ago. I've just kind of been reading this, but we've been a little bit busy. We went out, got some parts for the wagon. We also went out yesterday. This one was a really exciting part because I'm actually going to go out and sit on it now and kind of read, but we just went out to Big Lots. And if you don't know what Big Lots is, I don't know if it's really just like a Midwest in a way to the South, but Big Lots used to be such a great store. I haven't went in since I think 2018 when I was about ready to move up to Wisconsin with my husband. We went in the other day because I've been looking for more so rugs, area rugs for our living room, which should be delivered from Amazon today, but I couldn't find a rug. And while I was in there, I seen this patio set that I kind of liked, and they were running a 50% off sale on all patio sets. So I took my husband back yesterday, actually. We swung by because we had to go out anyways, and we ended up finding this patio set that wasn't the one that I originally seen. I don't think they had this one set up just yet because I don't remember seeing it. It was originally like $699, and we walked out of there at $350. And it's not just a like sectional couch outdoor seating thing. It's that plus a table plus two like ottomans or small benches to sit at with a table. And I'm so excited because usually if we ever needed backyard furniture set, we always Facebook Marketplaced it, which I'm not saying that's bad because Facebook Marketplace, you can find some great deals. But for once, having this big back deck and actually having this nice patio set, I feel like I'm a real adult now. We actually bought something brand new. With the last couple days being a little crazy, I want to update where I'm at on breaking the code. I have no clue what I last left off on. I don't know if I was maybe 50 or so pages into this book. I'm now 108 pages into this book. I'm on chapter 11, and we just got to the part where the father, he always talked about like he wasn't really a part of the war, but there's a spot where you start learning. He tells a story from his memory that he just never told, but he's telling his daughter about how he kind of went to Iwo Jima and he was there with a group of people to uncode certain languages and certain things that came through. It was, I think it's called katakana or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but there's a certain thing that he's supposed to be decoding and figuring out for the US, and also it's like really top secret. And they said like, if you're gonna disclose any of this, first off, you're going to jail or you're gonna be court-martialed. And then afterwards they got so far into it, they're like, yeah, we're not even gonna tell you anymore. We're just gonna shoot you. When sending his letters home, he made sure not to say anything at all. And then I think like months later, he was writing a letter and there's something down at the bottom. This was the last paragraph in his letter. Suppose you've heard all about Iwo Jima by now. Quite an operation, huh? Doubt if any of my gang got there in time for any of it. Of course, that's kind of out of our line anyways. There was the first validation for this father and this daughter about the fact that he didn't make up this lie, this memory in his head to create this memory of him being at Iwo Jima. And it was one of those where he just wasn't sure because he's like, you know, I am getting older. I've never really remembered this memory. And he talked about it to his daughter, and then she couldn't find anything about it in some of the letters around before and after Iwo Jima. So then she kind of looked into it more, and then she talked to the father and she said, I couldn't find necessarily anything. And he's like, it might not be in there because of how top secret it was. He didn't want to get shot and killed for just saying something. And then also it was one of those where he was second guessing everything, and they stopped, I think for like a week or two going through the letters. They stopped talking, not necessarily to each other, but more so to each other about the war, about his past and things like that. And then she found this in the letter and it validated his thoughts, his feelings, everything like that. And she's like, oh my goodness, like this is the first piece that we needed. And now they're rereading some of the letters and moving on, and I can tell that where he doesn't want to talk about a lot of stuff, especially in the beginning, he's now starting to kind of open up a little bit to his daughter, and it's one of those that they're creating a different bond together. And I've been really enjoying this book.
like really enjoying this book. I have no clue though where I'm gonna put it on my bookshelf. Is it gonna go with my military stuff, or is it gonna go with like my Dale Jr. memoir? But I have Dale Jr. and Richard Hammond by themselves. Those are the only two autobiographies that I really have that aren't military side. And then I have a whole stack of military books, and this is both. I just don't know which one I'd rather put it with. That is my big dilemma. But I am gonna sit out on the back deck, let my son play, let our dog go outside because she just woke up, and I'm gonna sit and tackle a little bit more of this book. Hello everybody, it is the next night and I want to come on here to tell you that I just finished Breaking the Code, and I'm not gonna lie, I absolutely love this book. This book is a memoir, so I'm not gonna technically rate it, but I absolutely love this book. I highly recommend this book, especially if you love memoirs but lesser known, if you love military stuff, which I absolutely do, if you love the world wars, any of them, one or two, mainly two in this one because this is what we're talking about. I just highly recommend this. This was such a deep connection in a way to her father, and something that is just, I really don't have words for this book because it's something that if I was just a civilian looking on the outside and reading this book, I think I would have absolutely loved it still. But being on the inside and just knowing things personally and knowing things about like PTSD and other things and going through some things and just how people hide stuff, how you don't want people to know things, and then how it affects you, how it could affect you for nightmares, how it could affect you in other ways. It's just so different reading this book and knowing everything that I know or going through everything that I've ever went through versus if I was just a civilian who never knew anything military wise, who didn't have anybody in a family that was military, who didn't know anything about PTSD. This would be a completely different book. So this hit me a lot different than I feel like most people would while reading it, but it has such great messages, like underlying tones and messages in it that you wouldn't really think about until at least I guess when you get to the acknowledgements. She talks more about stuff, but there's just so much about this book that I really appreciated and I absolutely loved. It made me feel like a little emotional just because of one, you know, going through some things, but then two, just sympathizing, I guess, with this character or this man. And I'm sure he's long gone by now, sadly, because there's not very many World War II people alive. And I think he was 80 something years old and she wrote this book. I think it was like a year before she actually wrote this book. So this was 2011. So I'd say in 2010 he was about 80 or 84 years old. I can't remember exactly. So I would assume by now he's probably not really alive, especially because his health started getting worse by the end of this book. But to read this story and to just learn more about this was just such a good book, and I'm so glad that I read the two books that I did in this video, but especially this book because this had sat on my shelf for probably about a decade and I never got around to it, and I finally got around to it and I absolutely loved it. But that's all I have for this reading vlog. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Be sure, if you're curious about any other future videos, to subscribe, keep in touch with my YouTube channel, be a part of my YouTube community. I have a lot more fun videos coming out here soon, or at least fun reading vlogs in my opinion, and I hope you guys all enjoy them. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope to see you in another video here on my channel, and as always, God bless.